We are once again back in the reading exercise every day and making our accent more professional, reading the book Complete Guide to Fossils and Fossil Collecting. Today's chapter is Digging Up Fossils. Before setting out on a day's fossil hunting, remember to tell someone reliable about where you are going and when you expect to return. Supply the relevant map references where possible. Also, check the weather forecast and revise the plan if it looks bad. Digging really does require dry weather. Think about your personal necessities and sustenance before the trip. Take food as necessary and plenty of fluids. Being out in the sun and wind all day is thirsty work. On arrival at the site, carry out a quick survey and decide which areas looks best for excavation. By a few short test digs or blows with a hammer, remains may already be eroding out in some places. Look for shapes and texture that suggest fossils, like smooth curves of bone ends or regular lines and striation on shells, which distinguish them from the surrounding rock. See also the collector's code later in this section. Big to small. When digging for fossils, there are several basic guidelines. Go easy and take care. A too hard hammer blow could shatter a prized specimen. If time is short for the weather turns foul, you may simply have to leave the fossil where it is, partly excavated. It will still be there tomorrow or the day after. Work from big to little, tough to delicate. Use the larger tools to remove unwanted rock. Then work more sensitively and in greater detail as the specimen is exposed. A pair of protective gloves that is still allow sufficient grip and maneuverability is important when working in the field. Working with the rock rather than against it, using its natural splitting of bedding planes to your advantage. Remove a block containing the fossil rather than the specimen itself. Leave detailed exposure and cleaning until later, back at the workroom where it's more comfortable and proper equipment with the time. Don't forget to wear safety equipment such as goggles and gloves. Record each stage of the excavation with a simple map, a few sketches, or if you have brought a camera, photographs and plenty of notes. The later should also include map reference on the surrounding rock types. Initial stages, large quantities of material covering a fossil known as overburden, maybe a loose gravel, sediments or rockfall. It can be removed with a spade or perhaps a pickaxe. Sometimes we use road drills, jackhammers, constructor diggers or even explosives, but these are beyond most part-timers. Then hammer and chisels can be employed to keep an eye on the rock fragment as they are removed. If the fossil is well embedded in matrix, try to assess its wall size and position and work around this, leaving plenty of room for error. Try a trial few blows on a rock of the same type which does not contain a fossil to see how the rock reacts to splits or shatters. Do not chip or scratch the fossil itself, which could spoil its appearance and considerably reduce its scientific value. Later stages. As the fossil is uncovered, switch to gentler methods. A small trowel or dental pick can lever out detached fragments. For very fragile fossils, a paintbrush, bradawal or dental-type pick may be suitable. It's best to chisel out a large lump of rock around the fossil and lift out the whole item. Very fragile or crumbly specimens can be strengthened and stabilized and described later in the section. Notes. Your notebook should contain plenty of jottling that records details such as locality, date, type of rock, position of fossil specimen, size, notes on initial identification and other relevant information. All these details help to confirm formal identification later. A sketch can help to pinpoint an unusual feature such as spine or claw that may not be easily visible on a photograph of the complete specimen. When labeling a specimen, for example, by using corrective fluid and a ballpoint pen, be sure to mark the least important area so that the fossil itself, like small graptolite to the right of the label, is not obscured. Shall I? Shan't I? Faced by a jumble of rocks and fossils at a new site, one of the most vexing questions for the novice fossil hunter is, which specimen should I choose? In other words, which ones will be worth the time and effort to excavate, or even, is it a fossil or just a weirdly shaped rock? For beginners, the answer is usually quite simple. Choose almost anyone since it will value a practice that brings precious hands-on experience. Also consider, would I wish to spend time cleaning up the specimen for my collection and perhaps display? It's wise to spend some time giving the whole site a brief survey rather than stopping at the first attractive fossil. There might be a better preserved, more complete version just a few meters away. Below, use of a geological hammer and chisel will preserve the fossilized specimen while separating it from the rock, and it will be safer wearing gloves. That was the lesson for today, digging up fossils from the complete guide to fossils and fossil collecting. Hope you're doing great and hope you're practicing. There you go. All the best. Good night. Take care.